You ready? Thanks, Kristen. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, council, staff, delegates, and residents, and our staff from Hastings County. I will call the meeting to order with the land acknowledgement. We are meeting today on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. We would also like to acknowledge the Mohawk and Algonquin nations whose traditional and unceded territory we are gathered upon today. Hastings County is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Next on the agenda is the motion that the agenda of the planning meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Marmorant Lake for Tuesday, March 17th, 2026 be approved as presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Eric? Second, Jane? Any discussion on those planning minutes? Being none, all in favor? Thank you. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Okay, we'll move on to adoption of the minutes. The recommendation is that the foregoing minutes of the planning meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Marmorant Lake held Tuesday, March the 3rd, 2026 be approved as presented. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Eric, second. Ron, any discussion on those planning minutes? Jane?
I wish to seek clarification from the clerk on the prior motion that I moved. Did we approve the agenda or the minutes? The minutes no mentioned twice.
Through the chair to Councillor Lakatos, the motion was for the agenda. The minutes were then mentioned, but the motion itself was for the agenda. The first one.
Clarification.
Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Next is the public meetings. Do we have anyone registered to speak on the public meeting portion? No? Okay. So we'll move on to the consent files. B4725 and B4825 for 1050 Cook Road. Part lot 9-10 concession 1 Marmora, part 5, 6, and 7, 21R 8970 STQR 584519 TWQR 584519 Marmorant Lake, County of Hastings. And the recommendation is that the planning committee receive and approve the planning staff report dated March the 5th, 2026. And 2, that costs to the value of $2,400 cash in lieu of parkland be paid under section 33(8) of the Act. 3, that all taxes be paid in full prior to granting consent. 4, that a safe site entrance be approved on the retained and proposed severed lands, Lot B, including removal of brush along sight lines as directed by the Manager of Transportation Services. 5, that the severed Lot A be rezoned from marginal agricultural zone to limited services residential exception X zone, and that severed Lot B and the retained lands be rezoned from marginal agricultural zone to limited services residential zone. And 6, that a development agreement be registered on title outlining that the municipality will never be responsible for assuming the right-of-way, that the lots may not be accessible to emergency vehicles, and that the road must be maintained to municipal standards in accordance with bylaw 2009-6. So can I have a mover and a seconder for that? Eric? And second, Mike? Any questions or discussions on that recommendation? Go ahead, Ron.
Just a question for clarification, maybe, through the chair to Emily. Emily, seeing it's a private road, does number 4 apply, or what your thoughts are?
So you miss, Madam Chair, would you just be so kind to remind me number 4, which provision is that?
It's the brush,
Oh, removal of brush and sight lines.
but it's directed by the manager. That's what's tripping me up.
Right.
That.
Thank you for reminding me. Sometimes numbers go over my head. Yes, that's a good question, actually. I will double check with the director of Public Works. As a private road, there is limited opportunities to manage that because that is outside the purview of the town. That being said, we do want to ensure that the private road is maintained to a certain standard as established by previous bylaws. So more than likely, we won't be looking for them to complete that work on the site. We just want to maintain that the road is up to a certain standard. When I write the final report, I'll take those comments into consideration and ensure that the the condition is fulfillable by the applicant. So that's a good comment, Councilor Derry, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Emily.
So Ron, did you want to amend that section?
No, I just want Emily's opinion on that. That's all. She's the pro, not me. I just want to know what she thought, and I was just concerned of us directing on a private road, but what she said made sense to me.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Next is the confirming bylaw. The recommendation that bylaw 2026-18P, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the planning meeting of council held on the 17th day of March 2026, be read and passed the 17th day of March 2026. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Jane, and second, Mike. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Need a motion to adjourn, Ron. Second. Mike. We're adjourned from the regular planning meeting, and we're going to convene into the Committee of Adjustment meeting for minor variance D 13-1-2026, being 388 Glen Allen Road, legally described as part of Lot 13, Concession 2, Marmora and Lake. Give me a second here. Okay. So I'm going to call the meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for Tuesday, March the 17th, 2026 to order, again with the land acknowledgement. We are meeting today on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. We would also like to acknowledge the Mohawk and Algonquin nations whose traditional and unceded territory we are gathered upon today. Hastings County is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. So moving on to the agenda, need a recommendation that the agenda for the, or a motion that the agenda for the Municipality of Marmora Lake Committee of Adjustment meeting for Tuesday, March the 17th, 2026 be approved as presented. Can I have a mover? Eric, second. Jane, any comments on the agenda? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Being none. Next, need a motion that the foregoing minutes of the Municipality of Marmora Lake Committee of Adjustment meeting held Tuesday, January the 20th, 2026 be approved. I have a mover and a seconder for that, please. Ron, second. Mike, any questions or comments on those minutes? All in favor? That's carried. The application, minor variance B13-01-2026, 388 Glen Allen Road, concession 2, south part of lot 13. The purpose of the application is to allow site-specific relief from the municipality's comprehensive zoning bylaw 2003-11 to permit an accessory storage building with a height of 7.8 meters, whereas a maximum height of 4.5 meters is allowed. This is the time set aside to permit anyone who requested to speak in favor of or in opposition to the minor variance application. Public input will be received by the Committee of Adjustment. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the municipality of Marmorant Lake within 20 days of the bylaw passing, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to the Ontario Land Tribunal. So I will ask, is there anyone here wishing to speak to this file? No? Okay, and there's no one registered, Kristen, to speak. Thank you. So the decision, the recommendation is that the minor variance application D 13-1-2026 for lands located at 388 Glen Allen Road, Marmorant Lake, legally described as concession to South Park Lot 13 to permit an accessory storage building with a height of 7.8 meters, whereas a maximum height of 4.5 meters is allowed and be approved. And further, that the Committee of Adjustment is satisfied that the application meets the 4 tests of minor variance. The difference between the proposed and permitted height of the accessory building can be considered to have a minor impact on surrounding land users, as lands immediately adjacent to the subject lands are within the same ownership. It should be noted that the proposed accessory structure will exceed the minimum exterior yard setback of 8 meters, as it is proposed to be 12 meters from the property line adjacent to Cook Road. The accessory structure may be considered a desirable use of the property, as the development of the accessory structure relates to the commercial use established on the property. Although the proposed accessory structure will be taller than the permitted bylaw by the zoning bylaw, it appears that it will have a limited impact on neighboring property owners due to the large size of the property. The subject lands are within the rural and waterfront designation of the Hastings County Official Plan. This designation permits commercial and tourism development, which relates to the rural economy, the use of which has already been established on the subject lands with the existing landscaping business. Otherwise, the official plan does not comment on accessory buildings. Therefore, it may be determined that the intent of the official plan is met by this application. The subject lands are currently zoned rural commercial holding zone as per bylaw 2025-30P. The only permitted development is accessory buildings related to established uses on the property. As such, the intent of the bylaw can be met in this regard. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Eric, second. Jane, any comments or questions about this recommendation? Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just curious why the building has to be so tall. Looking at the elevation drawings, the entry doors on that shown on the east elevation gotta probably be 10 feet tall, and there's probably 4 or 6 feet above that. But usually typical height on storage building for commercial stuff is about 14 feet. And this is an extra 11 feet above that. I'm just curious what all the space above is being used for, or why it needs to be that high. I know they said equipment, but you know, like I say, 14 foot's usually standard.
Can you comment on that, Emily? Do you?
So through Madam Chair, I do not have the exact equipment that they plan to store. My understanding as well that it is equipment. I didn't ask the applicant on specifics of their equipment because that is a little beyond planning, but my understanding it is for equipment. I should just note as well that no human habitation would be permitted in the building, so there's no risk of someone setting up an apartment or something on the upper story. So I just understand they just have a lot of large equipment that they want to give additional clearance to.
Okay, just curious. It just seems like an awful lot of headspace. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Emily. Any other questions regarding this application? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And there's no other business, so we need a motion to adjourn, Ron. Second? Can I get a second, Mike? Thank you.